I came in the very last year of Gerard Swartz as chief conductor, and more or less as I arrived, it had been announced that Schwartz wasn't staying on. So actually one of my first tasks was to start identifying the next principal conductor of the orchestra. The criteria was really to do a sort of in-depth research of who was around, who was coming up, because you have to look at not only, let's say, the older conductor, those with huge experience, those ones which you think are going to make a huge career, and the younger ones. I was trying to look for someone who would bring the orchestra on. Tremendous talent in the orchestra, and I felt that it wasn't quite fulfilling its potential. I wanted to find somebody who was going to bring that potential in, that would have, and clearly you want that person to have a charisma, a dynamism on the stage, that's not only going to enthuse the players, but also the audience. And it's a double-edged thing. You're looking for a great musician, but you're also looking for a great personality. And the two don't always go together. And that was one of the key elements I really wanted to find somebody with charisma, with enthusiasm, that would get the place going, but was also a great musician. And it's harder than you think. It was key to actually see the people who we identified might be interesting. And I certainly saw them in performance. I certainly watched on video. I heard recordings and listened just to audio recordings from concerts and also CDs. It was also about getting oneself into rehearsals as well, because what happens at a concert is the result of the work that has gone through 3 or 4 rehearsals, and you want to see you almost want to see where it started and where it's come to, and you know, in the end we appointed Vasily Petrenko. Vasily is a superb rehearser of the music, and the culmination in concert, there is a very clear direction and path that gets to that concert. When we first saw Vasily, I think one of the key things was that he was very mature in his interpretation of the works. He clearly worked very hard at the score. He's a tremendous score reader and very, very quick to grasp the details within the score. But key is that he has a very strong feeling for the architecture of a piece. And certainly if you look at any of the things written about the recordings or the concerts by critics, they'll always mention that strength of architecture. And he comes with that. He comes to the rehearsal with that. He knows what he wants to do. And the details within that are building up the architecture for the musicians to play within what he visions as the whole piece. And yet that will also move on a step when it gets to the concert, so that it's not just a repetition of something that's happened in rehearsal. It becomes an organic and dynamic, growing performance through a period of days through to the concert. If you hear a second performance of the concert, it's grown again. So he already has the strength of architecture in his mind before he goes in with the orchestra. But the development of that is quite palpable through the days that he's rehearsing and performing. He's not intent on doing a performance of his interpretation. That's going to come in the concert. But he wants to get over the musical ideas and points. So you'll see him play through a whole section, and then he'll go back into something very specific. But that one very specific thing is illustrating a number of different points right the way through the piece. And it's for the players to grasp hold of that idea. Now, he might repeat that if it's not going quite in one direction. So he's not rehearsing every bar. He's taking the details, he's taking the elements that he needs to drive forward for his interpretation. And that's what the musicians pick up, and that's what they transfer to the rest of the movement or the piece.